Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Let's move the camera over so that we can see the great stuff that we're going to be looking at today. I'm Jenna Wakeland, and I'm welcoming you to video number 12 as we preview new products that will be available to purchase on January 7th in my online Stampin' Up store. Make sure that you go ahead and bookmark janetwakeland.stampinup.net ahead of that so you'll be ready to shop. Also, make sure that you are a subscriber to my newsletter so that you get to see all the news of my own personal January specials this month. If you're not on my newsletter, it's a free newsletter open to everyone, whether you're just curious about what I do, whether you want to know about my specials. If you love PDF tutorials, there's usually 20 or more PDF tutorials every month that you'll be able to download, timely Stampin' Up! Tips, all kinds of other things like that. So make sure you're a subscriber to that as well. So for today's video, we're going to take a look at a bundle called Linked Together. This bundle is amazing, guys. First off, bundles are priced at 10% off, so they have a built-in sale price, and they are designed to work together. But this bundle is unique in that, yes, it works together, but there are 3 components to this bundle, and each one of them actually totally stand alone. Greetings always work by themselves. They're always a great way to add a little life back to older stamp sets and products that you have in your crafting stash. It's kind of like adding a different necklace on a little black dress. There are some great dies, and you're going to see all of those shapes in just a second, and then there's some stencils. Something else that's really cool about this bundle is while everything works alone, everything also works to add that freshness. Again, like I mentioned with the greeting, the die shapes, they don't cut out any shapes, so they all stand alone. So they're going to add some fun to things that you already own. And the stencils are going to add some great backgrounds and fun to things that you already own. So if you just simply want a little pick-me-up in your crafting stash, this would be a bundle that you really want to look at. So let's look first at the greetings in this bundle called Linked Together. Wishing you, and then just a note. So we have wishing you a happy day, wishing you the best, wishing you a lifetime of happiness. And then you have so happy for you, enjoy. The only greeting I'm kind of like trying to still figure out, and if you have some ideas, you can put O, like O, and then get rid of the A, Oh Happy Day, one of my husband's favorite songs. Oh So Happy for You, so we could kind of mix them up like that just a little bit. Then for the dies, you have this amazing shape here. We have an oval, and this is such a great oval. We have a mini little lattice. We have some leaves, some little kind of light fillers. Then we have some different shaped flowers. And if I hold them up, the flowers do have some detail, or the leaves do have some details on them. When you cut, you will cut and emboss a little vein on the leaves. When you cut and emboss the flowers, you're going to have a little bit of lines on the petals. When you cut and emboss these shapes here, you'll have stitched marks. And when you cut and emboss the lattice, you're going to have the stitch marks around the outside edge. And then with the stencils, there are 5 of them that either work together, and you'll see that. We're going to demonstrate that. We're going to do a few things with these stencils that layer and work together, or they all work individually. And so you're going to have different types of lattice pieces. You're going to have these fun little, like, kind of eyelet look almost to it. And then this really fun geometric pattern. So let's take a look at some projects that I had, and then we're going to do some playing around together. And I'm going to showcase a couple of cards, and then I want to bring in some designer paper that I've not really featured for you, but I don't want you to not see it because it was released directly online. So the flowers were fussy cut, and this background dots in this are all from that pack of paper. It's called Serene Love. And then we die cut that lattice piece. So we die cut the lattice piece. There's the oval, and there's the So Happy for You. So a real pretty card there for you. Kind of using the shape to create triangles. We did 2 of them at the top. Paper has a geometric feel to it. So just kind of giving myself a little bit of a different layout, staying with the Lost Lagoon. Both of these, and the next one that you're going to see is what we call monochromatic, where you're using either all of one color, in this case it's all just Lost Lagoon, or you're using shades within that family. So in this case, pairing Lagoon with other blues, that would be very similar. And I love monochromatic stamping because everything coordinates within the Stampin' Up line. Stampin' Up's cardstocks and inks and ribbons and markers and blends are amazing. So you've got, your Lost Lagoon blends, your Lost Lagoon Stampin' Right markers, Lost Lagoon cardstock, Lost Lagoon ink pads, things like that. So I love Stampin' Up's color coordination, and it really is spotlighted well when we do this. Same thing here with the navy. And again, look at that paper. Isn't that paper just amazing? And then the Wishing You, and then inside we have A Lifetime of Love. So, and then there's those two-tone sparkle gems. Oh, you guys, you're going to see them on another project too. These really do look like a little mini disco ball on your project. So, and this was cut from the paper, just adding a little bit from the die. Again, those dies just give you that little extra. For this one, some of the paper from the pack, and in this case, I swished some Daffodil Delight with a blending brush using one of these over the top. And then on some of the larger flowers, I just kind of put the top part of the brush down and just darkened those just a little bit, having them pop. And I just love having kind of a geometric element. The flowers are from the dies that I just showed you. There's our gingham paper from the Delightful Wishes pack. And we have Just a Note again from this card pack. And then one more before I bring in the paper to show you. Here's a really fun shaker card. And what's really cool with this paper, if you look inside, this blue paper is from the Mediterranean Blooms. The reverse side of Mediterranean Blues is all, Mediterranean Blooms is all blues. So you've got some great paper to coordinate with this pack that I'm going to show you here in just a second. And these are the new sequins from the Beautiful Butterflies suite. And they just fit so perfect in there. And we just use that lattice, and it's all just standing behind. So before I show you some more samples, let me bring in this paper. This paper is called Serene Love. We had this exact paper, but in a different color scheme a few years ago. And I have to say, I like this color scheme much better. I loved the paper back then. I love it even more now. So you've got this beautiful, you've got Night of Navy, Lost Lagoon, and Old Olive as your colors in this paper. And again, it's really easy to fussy cut. There's that paper that we used on our shaker card. Again, I love when the artist leaves us white space around the flowers, making it really easy to cut some of them out. Or sometimes you'll have dies that match with them. Then you've got some more paper, more flowers. And again, you can easily come in with blending pens. You can easily come in with Stampin' Blends. There's lots of ways that you can add color. And as you saw in this case, I simply just used a blending brush to alter that paper and to bring a little bit of color into it. And then if we flip these over, you're going to find some amazing coordinating solids. Okay, and so just mixing and matching those prints, you're just going to have those amazing patterns. So this paper is called Serene Love. So when you get ready to start shopping on January 7th, make sure you look for this in the online store. In addition, for those of you that are doing my designer paper shares, this paper as well as the two other new packs that were just recently introduced are included in my paper share. So that would be another way to get a little taste of that beautiful paper. So let's keep going with some samples before we start playing. So here for this one, speaking of Mediterranean Blooms, we used the stencil just to create that bottom half of the card. Use this, just a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock to break up the top from the bottom. These are called glass dots. They're like a matte finish, and they're great, absolutely great. Here's a really fun one for you. We have a really sassy stamp set coming. that has a lot of snarky kind of comments, and this one happens to say, "You're how old? In dog years you'd be," and then of course you'll finish that message off in the inside. And we've got the cute little pug with its tongue hanging out and a party hat, and then just pulled in some fun colors to brighten that up. Just something we hadn't been able to do with some of the fun geometrics. This is our beautiful butterflies. And remember, the beautiful butterflies actually creates a nice card. If I hold this up, you can see the geometric pattern on the bottom. And then if I tip the butterfly side to side, can you see the pattern on the butterfly as well? I went ahead and used Memento black ink on the Memento, or on the basic black cardstock. And it does show up, and it does create a nice subtle pattern for you. And if you've seen the video, you know that there's one die that actually creates this really fun butterfly. And then look at this card right here. Isn't this fun? This is our mixed media papers. This is the reverse side. And we've got the oval. This is stylish shapes. And then there's some more of just the little branches and leaves and things like that. So for this one here, let me just show you this one before we start playing with stencils. So this is the shape, right? Okay. And you could do tiling, you know, of course, by starting to build it up like this. But what I did for this card is I turned my design, I turned mine this way. And in this case, I didn't want the card to be layered. So this is a full-size card. This is a full, actually in this case, it's 11 inches by 5.5. I have it as a top fold. And I just pushed them all the way to the top. And then I just decide, make sure your flowers are going the right side up. And just kind of played with my spacing here just a little bit. And that's how we were able to turn those to create this card. Just kind of playing with the directionality of them. In addition, these are really easy to cut apart. And I'm just going to use scissors for right now, but you'll get the idea. So that you've got basic triangles, which then would also open up just a whole nother possibility for how you use your shapes and things like that. So you're going to be able to, you know, kind of a pinwheel look to them and things like that. So you're going to have a lot of fun and possibilities with this shape right here, of course, with the lattice pieces and all the generic pieces. So I'll bring all of these back in here in just a second. But let's talk about these stencils for just a second. So let's set these aside. And so with these stencils, just to kind of give you an idea, you have different ways to ink them up, okay? When you're going to work with them, you can use a little bit of re-inker in a spritz bottle, and you can just spritz right over the stencil. And you're just going to get kind of a different look, kind of a misty look, if that makes sense. So you're going to be able to mist right over them. You're going to be able to take your brushes, which is the best way I find to work with them. You can use something called your emboss paste to work with them. And then depending on the size of the opening, you can actually even get, like in this case, I can mush real hard a Versamark pad and do some embossing. I tried that with this. The openings are too tiny for me to really get my embossing powder down inside of them. These are all notched, okay? They have a little notch at the top, and they have numbers on them. The ones that I kind of made bolder are the ones that, there we go, that layered together really well. Although you can mix and match any of the layering that you want. So in this case, the geometric one with the dots, you're going to have kind of something that looks a little busy like that, but still is going to be a fun background for you to play with. Also, you don't have to use the entire piece on an entire card front, okay? And here, just to show you, just doing part of it is going to give me a cool look. Or I can put two pieces together, you know, kind of put a little piece here across. So you can play around with them by putting them on angles. And a little tip for you, glass mat is absolutely amazing. because your ink is going to wipe up really quickly. You've got grid lines to help you see where everything's at. And once I have them the way that I want them to be, washi tape is wonderful. Some people also use painter's tape. There's something else out on the market called Post-it note tape. That's great too. And let me lift this up because I also don't want my card to shift. So I'm going to put just 2 pieces down, and that's going to hold it in place. And by putting a little piece here, but keeping my, I can kind of take a little peek to make sure that it's the way that I want it to look. And I can tip it any way I want it to go, okay? So just by using that washi tape, it's going to help hold things. The grid lines are going to help, and then I'm going to be able to wash it very quickly. So let's go ahead and let's create a stenciled piece together and play here for just a second. So let's start with number 1. And I personally always start when I'm doing stencil work with a piece of cardstock that is literally a 1/4 sheet of cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Because I want the ability then to cut it down to what I want it to be. That doesn't mean that you can't take a die cut square, a die cut circle or something like that and stencil right to that. Now here, I'm going to do one extra thing because in this case, I'm layering these pieces. So there's a little notch right here. So I'm simply going to take on my that's not dark enough. Hold on just a second. Let's get one that's really dark. See if I can find one that, there we go. And I'm going to just make that notch. That way I know where number 2, 3, and 4 go. So let's just start with our, and I'm just going to start, I'm going to tap it a little bit. I'm going to start on the plastic and then roll my way into the stencil. Oops. And it already slipped on me, didn't it? I'm pushing too hard. Gentle works, guys. Gentle works. And when you're doing your blending, having well-inked pads really makes a difference because it's going to pick up that ink that much faster. Having well-inked pads basically for all of your stamping makes a big difference. I don't know if you've ever had your pads get lighter and lighter on you, and then you go ahead and you re-ink them, and you're like, oh, that's what the color's supposed to be. So make sure you take advantage of Sale-a-bration. And I can go over it as often as I want, creating the darkness that I want. I could also just kind of create my own little ombre, light, middle, dark. I can also just kind of make it look a little distressed by not putting the covering on equally. In this case, I've done that where it's not on equal. If I want it on equal, I'm going to keep going across it till it's all one color. Okay, so that's number 1. So let's take that one off. Close this up. And I could stop right there and we have a beautiful pattern. Okay, just with this one right here. And let me see if I have a sample of just that pattern. Well, that would be this one right here. So just stopping with that right there, okay? But we're gonna keep going just to show you what it looks like as you layer it up. So we want number 2. I'm gonna put that notch in there. The other thing is can you see these white lines? That might be a little hard to see. Let me do something here for just a second. Just so I remember what line I was on. Let me lift this up to the camera. So can you see those white lines? When I put my stencil down, this part here is now going to cover those white lines. That will also help me determine if I have them in the right place, okay? I don't recommend lifting your paper up like I did to show you, but for the purpose of showing you, that's how we're gonna do it. We're gonna make it work. Okay, I'm gonna take a second contrasting color and we're just gonna ink it up. Get some good coverage on it. We're gonna start off like we did the other one. And we're just gonna go right over top. Okay. So now we've got our second color on. Can you start to see the two tones showing up? Let's grab number 3. And number 3 is also now going to cover the lines below because the part that's open is getting smaller and smaller. So that would be another guide. If for some reason your tape shifts, anything shifts on you. And you saw me using a different blending brush for each color. And you don't have to own a blending brush for every single color that you own. You can simply rinse them out in the sink till they run clear. They will stain, but as long as you've rinsed them out and they run clear, then you can go ahead and switch to another color. A lot of people will have a set of blending brushes for dark colors, so they'll have 2 or 3 for the darker colors, 2 or 3 for the warmer colors, and maybe 2 or 3 for the pastels, 1 for black, things like that. I'm personally getting ready to take the plunge and do 1 per color. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm going to take advantage of Sale-a-bration to do that, because the more that I've used blending brushes, the more that I learn that, like, I'm using Berry Burst on here. If I never wash it, it's always going to have a little bit of ink on it. I'm kind of ready to go, so I can always grab it and kind of just soften edges of a card, or just by, now putting a little bit on. It doesn't, I'm not wasting any ink by washing it out, if that makes sense. So I'm getting ready to splurge and finally go to 1, but you don't have to do that, okay? Now, if your crafting budget allows it, go for it. And Sale-a-bration is always a good time to splurge because you'll get all those amazing free products. Oops. Okay, so now let's pull this up. And these I just take to a sink and I just run with water. They come right off, okay? So they wash up very easily. So let's close that up. And now let's lift this up just to show you how fun this is when you go with the 3 colors. I did a neutral one that I'm gonna play with. So in this case, I did crumb cake, pecan pie, and then I did early espresso. But look how fun that look is when you can layer all 3. You could stop at 2, like when I just, if you didn't want, like when I just showcased the lemon lime, and I did the Coastal Cabana, it was a beautiful look, and I could have stopped right there. Would have looked really great with our new Oceans Friends. But just have some fun playing around with these guys. The geometric pattern, you can use contrasting colors if you want something to pop. You can use the same, but you're going to have a lot of fun with these stencils on your projects. Again, giving you that chance to have a little bit of a geometric look on things. So let's just do a quick review real quick past all of, and I got to finish these projects up now. I love when I get to play like that, and then I have these amazing pieces that we're going to want to work on. What I'm looking for at the second, guys, is I just want, since I didn't bring something wet, I wasn't actually prepared to totally play. I'm going to just stick a piece of cardstock that I have here down so we don't get these cards dirty as I bring them back on screen. So twisting and turning your shapes, that was the last card that I showed you. Adding just a little bit of your brushes to pretty paper, and again, just another fun shape for you. The grid part here really makes this shaker card pop. I just showcased this one again, and using the geometric grids, we've got a bold black and red card. Here, using our sweet little pug. Just a fun shape, just something different. I love how dies can encourage different layouts than you might traditionally do. And then just playing with the elements that are the dies. So, just little fillers alone. If I didn't have those, it'd be kind of maybe a little bit boring. But adding those really makes a difference. Here again, geometric. I personally sometimes find geometric patterns tough to use, so this was really perfect, bringing this one to life. And then we've talked in a couple of videos before about using partial images. You know, here we use the entire flower. Here I use just a part of it, cut it flat, okay? Here I use just a part of it. And a lot of times on your designer papers, you'll have elements that are down in the corner and along the borders. This is a great use for that. You don't always have to have the full image. Here, we stenciled just part of the bottom of the card. And this is layered. This is a 4" by 5 1/4 piece layered on a full sheet. So that's why it has that nice white border around it. And then we used our Mediterranean blooms. And then just all tone on tone, popping that lattice in behind. Love, love, love that lattice. This lattice itself can also be used as a stencil. So you'll be able to use this as well. A lot of your dies can be used as stencils. So bring all the dies back in just as a quick reminder of what we were playing with. These are the dies, and this is the greeting set, and then you just saw the stencils. So lots and lots of fun, guys. Lots of creative possibility. Many of you are under threats of horrific winter conditions. A great time to bundle up, stay in your craft studio, and just play. Remember, my mantra is just play. Don't always worry about the finished results. It's amazing when you start asking yourself, what would happen if? Do these go together? So stay warm, stay safe, guys, and I'll see you back here with lucky number 13.